Hello, my earlier students. Welcomes in economics classes for 12th standard. We are doing IED, which means Indian Economic Development. This is chapter number 4, Strategy of Industrial Growth 1947 till 1919. So let's start your video with your Jerry sir about industrial sector. So, students, this is chapter number 4 of IED class 12, Strategy of Industrial Growth 1947 to 1990. Actually, in our last topic, that is agriculture, we have talked about or discussed about agriculture, and now in this chapter we are going to focus on industrial growth which taken place during 1947 to 1990. Now students will say, sir, that why we are not taking afterwards, after 1990, 91, 92, 93 and so on till 2020. So let me tell you students, in 1991 one economic policy came, that is new economic policy, which is also known as economic reforms. So there is a new chapter about that, chapter number 6, that is called economic reforms. So that's why we have taken till 1990. So as we know that India is a country which is based on agriculture, okay, and some reforms, and you can say that some you can say improvements has taken place in agriculture also, but those improvements were not enough to make India a suitable, or you can say sound, what, economy, which make Indian economy a sound economy. So what we need to progress what, in industrial growth. So the progress of developing country like India depends on sound industrial base. Hence, a greater emphasis was given to industrialization in India's development strategy. So that's why we are going to talk about in the chapter industrial growth. And first we'll talk about the importance of industry. So first point, we will talk about epicenter of economic growth. The industry become epicenter of economic growth. Earlier it was agriculture. So we can say industry starts replacing agriculture as the engine of growth. Now the engine of growth become what? Industry. Why it happens so? Because agriculture have not a wide range of good, but industry provides you what? Wide range of goods which the consumers like to consume when their income rises. So in case of agriculture, we can say that there are limited agricultural goods are there. Even when the income of the peoples arises, so people tends not to increase too much, the consumption on agricultural goods. So that's why they need what, some other goods like industrial goods. You can see industrial goods provide peoples to raise their bar of life. So in this way they provide variety of goods which attracts people, or you can say consumer. So industry produces a wide range of goods which attracts people to do consumption more on their goods. That's why it becomes the epicenter of economic growth. Second comes what? Source of employment. As we know that agriculture sector is already overcrowded. It means that in agriculture, suppose that we needed 100 people. How many? 100 people, but already 150 people are engaged in these activities. So these 50s are what? Unemployed already. We can say that hidden unemployment. So where these 50 people will go? They will go to industry. Okay, they will go to where? Industry, because industry provide them a wide range of employment. So industrial sector provides more stable employment opportunities than the agricultural sector. Okay, so it attracts the peoples, and it helps to reduce the unemployment in India. Then comes what? Source of mechanized means of farming. As you know that mechanized means that use of machines. The use of machines like tractors, threshers and harvesters in farming has become possible due to development of industries. As the development of industry has taken place, what happened? Peoples, or you can say farmers, have started using of tractors and threshers, because tractors and threshers have saved their time. In earlier, when they are taken more 3 to 4 hours they are taking to to work in their field. So the same work they are doing in within 1 hour with the help of tractors and threshers, and it helps in the productivity of their crops also. That's why it becomes a source of mechanized means of farming. Who? Industry. Then comes what? Imparts dynamism to growth process. Imparts dynamism to growth process. What's dynamism here? It means variety. See, earlier growth process have been restricted to the production of food for survival. Earlier, that in the absence of industry, we can say that this one, agriculture is the need where we are doing what? We are producing goods for our self consumption, and then we are will happy. So it means that is the production becomes a what you can say, need for survival only, and that thing only we are thinking as a economic growth. We are getting we are getting our goods for consumption. That is it. That's it. We are thinking. So then that is the sign of economic growth that time. But that restriction we have removed through the industrialization. So industrialization has generated a wave of consumerism. So we can say that industrialization has added new dimensions to human life, endless consumption of a wide variety of goods and services. Then comes what? Infrastructure growth. Now, what is infrastructure growth? Actually, industrialization has led to infrastructure growth in the economy. Industry tends to spread across different parts of the country. Because of this spread, what happened? There is an expansion of infrastructural facilities like transport, communications, banking, okay, etc. Services are came into our life. This shows the infrastructural growth. Then comes growth of civilization. Now people becomes more conscious about their quality of life, because this one urbanization, you can say, has led to the growth of civilization. So culturally diverse societies are getting closer. How? Because that industrialization has provided that the people who is in you can say that Punjab, they are wearing clothes. So these type of clothes, they are that came in fashion. Those are people living in south, they have attracted towards those clothes. So and the people living in north attracted by the clothes which are usually wear by south side. So these type of things makes what? Culturally diverse societies. Peoples are loving each other's society. It brings what? Unity in our country also. And as you can see, these 6 points are read out. These 6 points leads to what? One word is there. SINEQUANON. Sine qua non of growth. That these all importance leads to the sine qua non of growth. That industrialization becomes what? Sine qua non of growth. Means mandatory. It becomes what? Mandatory, necessary. Okay. In order to get growth or development in a country, the industry becomes mandatory. That is called sine qua non of growth. These are what? Importance of industries. Now we are going to talk about the factors necessitating direct participation of the state, public sector also, you can say, in industrial development. So directly we don't talk about the participation of the state, or you can say government, or you can say public sector in industrial development. Why it is needed? First thing, if we talk about private sector, so what is the aim of private sector? The aim of private sector is to what? To earn only profit. But public sector is the one sector who earns profit, but with the aim of what? To equalization and social objective, to achieve social objectives. That's why we need, that's governments need what? To increase the participation of public sector in industrial development. So first reason is coming what? Which factors are there? First factor is coming lack of capital. At the eve of independence, we are suffering from lack of capital, especially in industrial sector. So industrial development in India needed a big push, and that big push we can get because of large amount of capital expenditure. We needed that large amount of capital expenditure. At that time, we are having what? Tata and Birla, which are what? Established industrial houses in India. But the requirement of capital of countries' industrial growth was still far beyond the capacity of these industrial houses. That's why we needed, or you can say that it is needed for the governments or the state government to achieve this industrial growth through public sector. Then comes what? Low inducement to investment. So inducement was also that the encouragement to investment. So it was very low. There was no encouragement for investment, no motivation for investment. So why it is so? Because there is a limited size of market. What? There is a limited size of market which leads to low level of demand. And when there is a low level of demand, then what will happen? There will be a low level of income. So it's also we needed a big push of public investment which could break this vicious circle. Okay, as you can see here, limited size of market which leads to low level of demand and then low level of income. That is why it is a big reason for the low inducement to investment. Then comes what? Growth with justice. Now, as I told you earlier also, the government realized that this objective, growth with social objectives, social justice, can be achieved only through the direct participation of what? State in the process of industrialization. Because private sector aim is to what? To earn only profit. So government realize they can only achieve this what? Goal with the help of public sector. So it requires investment that generates employment rather than maximizes profit. These are the factors: lack of capital, low inducement to investment, and growth with social justice. These are three reasons or you can say factors necessitating direct participation of the state or you can say public sector in industrial development. Now comes IPR. What is IPR? IPR stands for Industrial Policy Resolutions, which came in 1956, and it was a clear declaration of the government on the leading role of government in the process of industrialization. When the government realized that we needed what, a direct participation of public sector in industrialization, then they released what, IPR, Industrial Policy Resolutions. So principal elements of IPR 1956 are: first, threefold classification of industries. Now what is threefold classification of industries? Under this they have what, 17, they have given 17 industries development under the public sector, that the exclusively responsibility of the state, and these 17 industries related to the atomic energy, defense, and railways. These all are under the public sectors. They have to check them, okay, they have to develop them. Then comes what, 12 industries were to be progressively state owned by private sector and would be expected only to supplement the effort of the state. Example: fertilizers industries, mining industries, etc. These are the industries which are what, you can say given to private and public both. This private sector role is what, to expect to supply the necessary things to the state government. Okay, these 12 industries are under the private and public both sector. Then comes what, the remaining industries were left open to the private sector, but still there are some restrictions of government. Then comes what, industrial licensing. Now license was made compulsory. Without license you can't do any work, you can't develop any industry. So you can say that in order to increase, or you can say in order to promote what, social justice, they have done this thing, what, license compulsory, so that the private sectors are under control of state. So this overall direction of the industrial licensing policy was to maintain state control over private sector, so that it could work for social interest. Because if we will leave them on, we will give them full liberty, so what will happen, private sector will work only for their profit motive only, they will not work for social justice. So that's why it's needed what, control of government over private sector. That's why it's taken place. Then comes what, industrial concession. Now concession means, maybe you have heard about fee concession, that you are getting what, some fee, some relief in fee, that is the concession. What is industry concession here? The private entrepreneurs were offered many types of industrial concessions. Relief. Which type of relief? That for establishing industries in the backward regions of the country. They said that government said, if you will open industries in backward regions, because what happened, the peoples are opening the industries only in cities, those who are big cities like Mumbai, okay, Delhi, and more important the big cities. So they are ignoring the other cities also. So what happened, that government has given that some concession, that if you open the industries in backward regions, so what will happen, you will get some concessions in the what, in your cost through the government. So government has given this concession to promote what, regional equality. Okay, so I hope it is clear to you, IPR. So now we're going to talk about development of SSI. SSI stands for small scale industries. Okay, so it is a policy instrument to promote the goals of employment and equity. Why we are doing development, by the government were doing development of SSI? To promote the goals of employment. And now there are basically two types of industries: small scale industries and large scale industries. So if we talk about large scale industries, these are comes under like iron and steel industries, transport and communication industries. So these industries need what, a big amount of expenditure. Now if we talk about small scale industries, so these industries amount small, you can say that a small amount of contribution, like to generate, and why we need a small scale industries? To generate employment opportunities besides social justice. So let's talk about directly about small scale industries. So small scale industries are those industries whose investment does not exceed rupees 5 lakh according to the 1951 rules, which came which is at the time of independence. But according to new rule, if you talk about at present, this investment limit does not exceed rupees 5 crore. Now from 5 lakh it increased to 5 crore. At present, a small scale industry's investment can be till rupees 5 crore, but not more than 5 crore. That will come under small scale industry only. Okay, then if we talk about characteristics of small scale industry, so they are some characteristics are there. Basically, three types of characteristics of SSI are given here. So first one is what? Labor intensive and therefore employment friendly. And it is given that it is labor intensive. What? Small scale industries. Why? Because it uses more labors than capital. If we talk about large scale industries, the large scale industry they are using more capital and less labor. But in case of small scale industry, they are using what? More labor and less capital. So therefore, that's why it is called what? Employment friendly industries. Okay, we inherited an economy from the British which was a capital deficient economy and a labor surplus economy. Accordingly, our planners rightly thought of achieving full achievement by focusing on small scale industries. Now we talk about what SSI shows: locational flexibility. Now what is locational flexibility? So location flexibility can be established easily to anywhere. What it means? That these industries can be established easily anywhere. If we talk about large scale industry, so large scale industry we need to that observe, analyze the things, and then we can't establish a large scale industry anywhere. But in case of small scale industries, we can establish easily anywhere. So it provides us what? Locational flexibility, and is therefore equality oriented, because contributing to balance regional growth, inter-regional equality. Because basically those who are large scale industries, they are established in big cities, but small scale industries you can establish in small cities also. Okay, so it's provide what? It's promote inter-regional equality also. Okay, I hope it is clear to you. Then comes what? Promotes equality. SSI needs much smaller investment. As I told you in starting only, in compared to large scale industries, they need what? Smaller investment. Okay, which can be done by anyone. So promotes equality across different sections of the society, because every section can't afford large expenditure, okay, large investment. That's why SSI needs much smaller investment compared to large scale industry. Accordingly, it does not lead to concentration of economic power. Rather, it promotes equality across different sections of the society. That's why we can say that yes, according to these characteristics, it achieves the goals of employment and equity. So these all for development of SSI. So now, students, we will discuss the silent features of industrial growth during 1950 to 1990. So in this period, you have seen that government has focused on public sector, because public sector was the one which will achieve social justice. That's why public sector was to play a central role in the process of industrialization. Then comes private sector. Private sector was given what? Secondary role under the permit license Raj. As you know that they are given what? That the license becomes compulsory. So government is controlling the private sector, because private sector aim is what? Only profit motive. So that's why government is controlling private sector. Okay, then comes what? Focused on import substitution. Now what is import substitution? Import substitution means that whatever we are importing from where? From foreign countries. So we are trying to produce those type of products in our country only. So we are trying to what? Making what? Substitution of those goods which we are importing from other countries in order to achieve self-reliance. So the focus was on import substitution, to make those goods in our country only which we are importing from other countries. Then comes what? Domestic industries was to be protected from the foreign competition. Then government has tried to put some policies also in order to protect our domestic industries from the foreign competition, like through heavy import duties, that government has put heavy import duties on the foreign imports and other things, and fixation of imports quotas also. These things, or even these measures are there which are taken by government in order to promote domestic industries. Then comes what? Large scale industries was to be developed. Now to generate infrastructural base in the economy, we need what? Large scale industries. So these type of industries we needed to develop. So that's why government has focused on these type of goods industries only. Even they have given more focus on the small scale industries, but that small scale industries, they have tried to achieve this large scale industries also, because these are the base in the economy. Then comes what? Small scale industries. As you know, earlier only we have learned about small scale industries under development, that it was to be developed, and in order to promote this one small scale industries, in order to develop small scale industries, government has given various measures to promote and employment and equity. We need what? Small scale industries. So government has given his full support to small scale industries. Okay, So these are the silent features of industrial growth during the 1950-1990. And now we'll talk about some good effects. What are the good effects which we have seen of this industrial growth under this period of 1950 to 1990? First, economic growth got a big push. Now our economic growth got a big push. How much? 6% annual increase in output since 1950 to 1950, 1950 to 1990. Okay, so it was a big increment, we can say. Okay, so it was a good increment for our country, but in compared to other countries it is less, but for our country it is good. Then come what? Diversifications of products. Now there is a marked diversification in the industrial sector, that then sunrise industry, or you can say it is particularly electronics, marked its emergence in the domestic economy. Then comes what? Growth of large scale industries. Growth of large scale industries like Rourkela and Bhilai steel plants projected an infrastructural shift in the Indian economy. So these things are taking place to promote what? Large scale industries. Then what? Growth of SSI. That growth of SSI has taken place, which is contributing to achieving the what? Social justice. Now talk about some bad effects. So we can say that bad effects, under bad effects we can say that, as we have seen, there will be a what? Full public sector control, because government is promoting what? Public sector only to focus on the industrial growth. So it becomes what? Public sector monopoly only. So which leads to inefficiency, corruption, leakages and pilferage. Why I am saying so? Because government sector, you know very well that normally what happens when we are giving some work to government sector, so they becomes little lazy. They do their work with little laziness. So what happen? It becomes inefficiency, corruption increases, then leakages taken place, and pilferage means that you can say, if you talk about pilferages means act of theft and other things. That is called pilferages. Then comes what? Fail to achieve international standard of products. Yes, we have tried to focus on import substitution. That we have tried to produce or make those products which we are importing from outside the country, but we are failed to make those type of products in our country, because the products which we are making in our country was of very bad quality in compared to international standards. That's why we are failed to achieve international standards of products. Then comes what? Inefficiency policy instrument. Like we have applied this one, import substitution policy, under which we have tried to produce or make those products which we are importing from outside the country. So the foreign exchange reserves started shrinking. What happened? It becomes a negative for India only, because we are focusing on this one only, but we didn't focus on export. Until we will not export more, we can't achieve foreign exchange reserves. So what happened? Foreign exchange reserves starting shrinking, which leads to the what? Adverse effect on Indian economy. So these were the what? Good and bad effects of industrial growth during 1950 to 1990, and these are the silent features of industrial growth during 1950 to 1990. I hope it is clear to you. At last, I just want to say, be safe and God bless you all.